All right.
I'm talking to myself. How's it going?
There you go. Hi, welcome. Nice to see you today. Happy Friday.
Same to you, my dear.
How's it going
Where's
today?
everybody else?
I
Everything
don't
is
know
going well.
yet. Just
I thought I was late. I thought I was late. I was like, oh my God, it's 3 o'clock. Let me rush and get in here.
no worries. I just got on too, so I'm waiting to see who else jumps on. Jacob is behind today, so he may or may not be joining us. He was having to do a bunch of stuff to the house before the storm came through today, so
I hear ya.
he may or may not make it in time. We'll see. I should change my
So
name
you,
now.
so you are the lead today, I guess, huh?
Sure thing. We'll see how far that gets us.
Should be fun.
All right. Yes.
Where is everybody else though? Are we on the
Here's
right link?
Pam. Yes. Here comes Pam.
Alrighty.
I'll give everybody a couple minutes.
Yep, sure, no problem. Just let me know when you're ready to get going.
Perfect. And I think we're also, I'm going to go live on Facebook in a minute, but I'll wait till we're ready. Our REI Black Book representative Kevin's going to be on here in just a little bit as well to go over. Everyone had a few questions about the program that we're allowing our people to participate in tomorrow. So he'll answer all the questions for everybody and get that rolling too. Hopefully he'll be on about 3:30. So we still got plenty of time to talk about market updates between now and then.
Awesome, awesome. It's a lot of news out there today. Biggest news really is just Apple. Kind of like what we talked about last night.
Yes.
So it's an awesome opportunity for anybody who's been wishing they owned Apple and thought it was too expensive.
Now's the time.
Now's the time. You have no excuse.
All right. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go live on Facebook. And as soon as we are ready, we can go ahead and start talking about a market update and let everyone jump in. So that's getting set up. Good here. Sorry for my dogs in the background.
No problem. I've got kids in the background with TV on and all kinds of stuff going. How's the weather now? Is it hot?
It's pretty hot here. I'm in Atlanta, so we're having just some storms rolling in around today, but that's about it. We can't get it to go live on Facebook, but we are recording, so we'll get this up and about later on the site. So let's go ahead and talk about some market update stuff, and hopefully a few people join us as we go, and we'll have questions.
All right, and do I have screen share privileges by any chance?
You should. I'll go ahead and make sure. See if you have access.
I do. There you go. I'm gonna go grab my little stylus pen to write on the screen. I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
Sounds good. Well, thanks for being here, everybody. We are trying to, for some reason, can't go live on Facebook from here. But we're working on it. All right. All right, maybe we are up.
All right.
Perfect. Welcome back. So yeah, tell us a little bit about what's going on. I know there were lots of announcements yesterday and this morning.
Yep. So as usual, I like to start with the economic side of the news and kind of keep you guys up to date with what's happening with the unemployment claims and the Fed and what they're planning and what they're doing. So yesterday, the new jobs claims numbers came out. We were at 1.434 compared to 1.422 last week, Thursday. So there's been a slight increase in the number of people filing for unemployment 2 weeks in a row. And we talked about this the last time. We want to see those numbers going the opposite direction, right? We want to either see them kind of plateau and flatten out, or kind of go lower, but not the opposite direction. So what that means, obviously people are still out there, they're unemployed, they're struggling, companies are still laying people off. Maybe the people that were on furlough for a while now have been let go. You know, there's all kinds of reasonings that, you know, that are causing these numbers to, you know, to go up. Obviously, we kind of like attempted to reopen, then went back and shut down again in certain areas. So all those things are definitely playing a factor in those numbers. But again, not the direction that we want to see it going for, you know, for the conditions that we're in right now. We obviously want to see those numbers improving. So that's what's going on. The Fed did come out this week. The Fed usually has its meetings every 6 weeks. Came out this week, and you know, their sentiment is still the same, where they're going to do whatever it takes in their monetary policy to make sure that they prop up the economy. So they're not going to try to do anything that will, you know, spook it any more than it already is spooked. So the Fed has just pretty much come out and said, we're going to keep doing what we're doing. Obviously, nowhere are we close to having any interest rates go up or whatever. So everything is pretty much going to stay the same. So again, nothing different in terms of the Fed as to what their posture is. They're still very dovish, meaning they're very soft on the market, and they're not going to do anything to try to, you know, to spook it. So they're going to continue with the Fed chair said they're going to act as appropriate to support the economy. So meaning pretty much they're going to do whatever it takes to make sure that you know, the market stays and the economy stays afloat as best as they possibly can. So that's what's happening there. But the big news really this week was earnings, and we've talked about this. We talked about this last week, but like the big companies were reporting earnings this week. So you had Amazon reporting earnings yesterday. You had Facebook reporting earnings yesterday. You had Apple. You had Google reporting earnings yesterday. So yesterday was a really, really highly anticipated day in terms of, you know, how are these big tech companies doing in terms of their earnings. And the one that I want to focus on and talk about today is Apple, because everybody knows Apple, right? I mean, I know everybody knows Facebook and Amazon and Google too, but Apple is like one of those, like, you know, it's that brand that everybody knows and recognizes. So Apple beat earnings, and actually let me kind of share my screen here so we can take a look at that. And I did a little video on it too, and I'll post it here in the group so you guys can see it. But tell me if you guys see my screen there, so that I know.
See it.
Okay, perfect. So let me minimize this video so I don't have to see it, and I can actually look at the screen. All right, so so every quarter, we talked about this before, every quarter companies report their earnings, right? They give us their report card, let's put it that way. And they kind of tell us, okay, did they make money? Did they lose money? You know, what's their guidance? What do they foresee in their future in terms of revenue and sales and all that stuff, right? So Apple is no different. They reported their earnings yesterday. And usually you have what you call, like, you know, what the market is looking at as an estimate of where they think the companies will be at. And then the companies actually report, and then they have the actual numbers. So the market had it estimated that they were going to have make about $2.02 per share on their earnings. And they actually came out and beat that and did about 2.58 per share, which was really, 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 really good. So when you look at a chart of a company, typically, and we're looking at a daily candlestick. So what these little candlesticks represent is what the stock is doing on a daily basis. And I'm actually going to clean it up for you guys so you guys can just see just the candlesticks and nothing else, and remove all those lines. So every candlestick represents every single day of the market. Now you can do it you can look at it in a different time frame. You can look at it minute by minute or weekly or monthly, but we're looking at a daily time frame. So yesterday, when the market closed at 4 o'clock, Apple closed at about $385 per share. They then reported earnings after the market closed. when they reported the earnings, obviously the market we're all globally connected, right? So when our markets close in a few hours, the Asian markets open and then the European markets open and so on and so forth. So these companies are traded in other countries besides the US. So obviously because of and then there's what we call after hours trading. So because of the news that came in with Apple once it reported, I'm not gonna reduce the time frame and go to like a 15 or maybe even a 5-minute candlestick. So now every candlestick you're seeing is a 5-minute candlestick. And I'm gonna do something here where you guys can see the overnight action that happens overnight. So give me 1 second. We're going to add, we wanna see the extended hours because I want you guys to see what happens. Sometimes, when we're sleeping, that's when all the action happens and we're unaware of it. So this is what happened yesterday. So this is yesterday, the market closed. Apple then reports its earnings. It beats earnings and then it just skyrockets and just starts to inch up. So this is all the activity that was happening last night in Apple all the way. And so this like kind of like light grade area, this is all the overnight action because at this point the market is closed. The market opens at 9:30 Eastern time. So once the market opens, then that's what you call the bank open, right? So it opens at 9:30, so now it's tradable. So it opened here, and on that news, it has continued in its trend. So it opened at about 4:11, and it's continued in that trend. So each of these candlesticks represents 5 minutes, okay? So from the time it opened this morning to where we are right now at about 3:11, this is where the price of Apple is. It's now sitting at $417, and the thing closed at 385 yesterday. So obviously that was a huge gap. It's up about 8% on that news of it having really good earnings. But the major news that came out of Apple, and I hope it shows up on my paper trade. There we go. The major news that it announced yesterday is that they were going to do a 4-to-1 split. Now, how many of you guys know what that means, a 4-to-1 split? Or if you've ever heard of companies doing a split? You can type it in the chat if you know what that is. If you don't know, it's okay. Say, I don't know. And I'm gonna.
I know she talked to some of you about this yesterday, so no excuses.
Let's see. Where's my little panel so I can see where the chat is? I've lost my chat box. Okay. Well, I can't see what you guys are typing, but I'm going to assume that some of you know, some of you don't know, but I'm going to explain what that means. So basically, when a company reports a stock split, what it means is that the price of the stock has gone up and up and up and up and up over time. And the company decides that it's gonna split the stock price to bring it back down to a lower entry price so that it can allow investors who may not be able to, to afford Apple at $400 a share, be able to have a lower entry price. Does that make sense? So what it announced that's the news that it announced yesterday after it also announced its earnings. So what basically that means is that, and I'm gonna see if I can get my little panel back here again, because I was going to draw on it so you guys can see what I'm talking about, but I've seemed to have lost it. Let's see. Oh, Zoom. It's disappeared on me. There we go.
No, we're here.
I see you guys' face, but I've lost the little panel at the bottom that has all the screen sharing and all that stuff. I don't know what happened to it.
It should be, if you hold your cursor, it should pop up below.
Yeah.
I think. That's what mine does anyway.
Well, I don't know what I clicked. Oh, let's see. Nope. It's disappeared on me. I can see the cameras, but I cannot see the panel. Where is it? Show up panel. Because I was going to draw it and kind of explain it, but hopefully I can verbalize it and it will make sense. But I did a video on this, so you guys can go back and look at a video. But let's just assume that you have 1 share of Apple. Like, let's say, regardless of when you bought it, whether you bought it at $5, $10, whatever, you have 1 share of Apple right now. Okay. When it does its split at the end of August, the 4-to-1 split. So for the sake of making math easy, let's just assume that it's going to be sitting at about $400 a share. So what the 4-to-1 split means is that for every 1 share of Apple that you own, you're now going to have 4 shares. Okay, so if you have one share of Apple right now that's worth $400, when they do the stock split, it's going to be, now you have 4 shares of Apple, but now each share is not going to be worth $400, it will be worth $100. So the value will still remain the same. You just have more shares now of Apple, but now at the $100 price point. So the total value stays the same. You just now have more shares. Now, that's if you already own Apple. And if it's the same thing as if you own contracts or options of Apple, right? For every 1 contract you own of Apple, you're not going to have 4 if you hold it through, if you hold it through the split. But I think the most attractive thing that if you already own Apple, kudos. Obviously, you've been an investor of Apple, and you've obviously benefited from Apple going up. So kudos to you. Now you just have more shares of Apple. Hooray! But for anybody that has been perhaps thinking about owning Apple or buying Apple shares, and they're like, well, Apple was too expensive at 200, or it was too expensive at 250, or I could never afford it at 300. It's in your mind you're looking at the dollar value of Apple, but that's not what determines whether the stock is high or not. It's actually something else that explains that. But for the sake of just numbers only, you're like, oh my God, just owning 1 share of Apple, it's going to cost me $400 to just own 1 share. Well, when it does the reverse split, now each share will be worth about $100. And that depends again on where the price is when it happens, when the actual split happens. But we're just using $400 as that round number, so we can just make math easy. So at that point, now that means that you can buy. So now, as opposed to when you could only buy 1 share at 400, now you can actually buy 4 shares at 100, right? And now you actually own more shares of Apple. So for anybody that's been thinking, oh my God, I wouldn't, Apple is too expensive for me. I wish it was sitting at 100. Well, guess what, right? It's your lucky day. It's your lucky day that when it does do the split, now it will be at about $100. So my little challenge for everybody that's watching this or that's looking at this, just think about how people invest, right? Now, I've done it, quite many a times, and I'm sure you guys have done too, right? Whenever they announce that they're going to have a new phone or a new upgraded version of a phone or whatever, and they announce that date, we're all running to the stores to go upgrade our phones, right? But maybe this time around, if you've been thinking about investing and you wondered what to do or how to go about it, typically, like, I think the lowest entry point for any kind of phone, an iPhone, is going to be like right around $1,000 mark, right? And I don't know how you guys go buy your phones. Maybe you go and buy it directly, or maybe you use your cell phone service provider, and you kind of integrate those payments with your cell phone bill. But however it is that you go about it, the price is still the price. You typically at about $1,000 entry on a phone. What if this year you bypassed that upgrade? Right? What if you bypass that upgrade and you just went and said, okay, if I usually spend about $1,000 on an iPhone, what if I just went and bought 10 shares? Right? That would actually give you the equivalent of, the $1,000. And now you would actually be an owner of Apple as opposed to being just a consumer of Apple. Not that there's anything wrong with getting the new phones or whatever. Maybe this time you use a different approach and actually be an owner of something first before you end up consuming their product. So that was just kind of like my little thought process today, because I was thinking about my kids and how they're always asking for upgrades on this and that. And it's more like, okay, well, maybe this time around, as opposed to just going, getting them that upgrade, is like, let me teach them something about this. Maybe, hey, we're going to go buy shares of Apple first, and then we're going to become owners of Apple, and so on and so forth. So that was just like my little thinking out loud that I wanted to just kind of share with you guys. So, if you can, I know it's going to be hard because, you probably have a phone that's 2 years old, but it still dials, right? It still works. You can still FaceTime people. You can still get on social media. You can still do all those things. So how about you take that $1,000 that you would have spent on going to buy that new phone, throw in that money and own, be an owner of Apple. You already like the products. Otherwise, you wouldn't be going to buy their new phone. So why not invest in Apple and be a part owner of Apple shares? So that's my little tidbit on that. So that's all I have for you guys in terms of the market update and what's going on. Amazon had good earnings. Google, I have not looked at Google's numbers yet, but Google is probably out of the 3 of them, Google is the one that did not do well. Let's look at Amazon. And here's the other thing about, and this is the thing that we talk about, people that are always waiting, right? If you're always sitting on the sideline waiting, saying, oh, not this time, next time, you're going to be left behind, right? So maybe perhaps you're one of those Amazon investors too that was like, oh, Amazon is too expensive at $1,000. Well, it's too expensive at $2,000. Well, it's sitting at $3,000 right now. It was at $3,300 just a month ago. So, you know, waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, all you're doing is just missing out on the opportunity, really. So I don't know if Amazon will ever do a split. I don't know. I wish it would, because it would just make, you know, the entry point a little bit more affordable for a lot of people. But Amazon has yet to do a stock split. I don't think they've ever done one. But it's sitting at 31.04. So here goes, you know, this is where it was last. So even if you were thinking about owning it last week, right? And even if you paid $2,800 for it or whatever, now it's sitting at 3,100. The other one that had earnings yesterday was Facebook. Again, same scenario. I mean, these tech companies really went gangbusters in terms of their earnings report. Here was Apple sitting at 230 yesterday. Now it's sitting at a nicely right around 250 this morning upon the market opening today. But again, it also had earnings reporting yesterday. And the only one that did not have a big move was Google. Google actually kind of went down a little bit. So I have yet to dive into what their earnings reports were. It looks like they had so it has to be their guidance or whatever. We'll have to look and see what their guidance numbers was. But they did beat, because they were estimated to bring in at $8.38, it looked like. $8.42, and they actually did $10.13 per share. And I'm trying to think of which other one. Those were the three major tech ones. We did have some other companies report, but those were the three major ones that I wanted to just kind of talk about. Apple obviously being the headliner on that 4-to-1 split. And again, all that means for any new investors that you now have a lower entry price point to get into owning shares of Apple if you ever wanted to own Apple. So that's all I got for you, my dear.
Sounds good, but that's easy for a lot of really good updates that just came out within the last little bit of time. So we appreciate you being here to share it with us. And we have a few people that jumped on with us. Do you guys have any questions for Emily about the stocks this week or the market in general as we change through these times? And we're looking forward to doing our next challenge.
What's the next challenge?
Our stock market survivor. You want to tell us a little bit more about that too?
So we're working on that and trying to come up with a way to, you know, obviously it's all a matter of having multiple streams of income, right? So I know a lot of you guys are, you know, in the real estate survivor part of what we're doing here, but eventually you definitely want to start to add more things to your portfolio, more streams of income, kind of like even within real estate itself. You know, you start with maybe one strategy and then you add on other different strategies. So maybe you start with wholesaling, but then you go and start doing lease options, and you're start doing foreclosures and flips and all the other things. It's kind of like the same thing. So if you want to move to a different asset class, meaning that you're in real estate but not something else, most people transition from stock to real estate or real estate to stock. Those are usually the two things that coincide together. You can also get into other types of businesses, whether it's getting into business of some sort or whatever, but transition from real estate to stock and vice versa. So that's kind of like what we're trying to do here, is kind of implement that and just kind of go off of that and start to teach people how to invest in the stock market, because maybe you have some capital that you have in real estate that you now want to move over to something else, and you want it to still grow for you. So we're going to start looking into getting you into learning how to trade stocks. Now, we want to make sure that we don't overwhelm people with that. So if you're already doing the real estate survivor, then you're going to finish with real estate survivor, and then we're going to start teaching you about the stock market survivor. And so we're still coming up with, like, you know, how we're going to integrate it, but it's going to be obviously, you know, some classes in the evening, some sessions in the evening, teaching you the basics. I want to make it fun as well. I don't want to make it, you know, too, you know, complex. I want to make it fun. So eventually what the idea is to get everybody to at least have a brokerage account, or at least a paper money account where they can actually go in there and virtually practice the trades or the things that we're going to talk about. and kind of like, make it fun and exciting for everybody else to participate, because that's what trading and investing is all about. It's a money making tool, but you also want to make it fun. So we're going to have some challenges on paper trading. We're going to analyze stocks and look at them together, and then actually go build those trades and paper trade them and document them and kind of see how everybody else is doing and make it fun and exciting as we go along. But the basic thing obviously is always going to be the education part. The foundation part is always going to be the boring part. Everybody's going to hate it, but once we get past that, clicking the buttons is going to be something that you'll do forever, but everybody wants to get there first. And I'm like, no, we got to go back to the basics. So that's going to be like the beginning part of it. And then we're going to get to the button clicking stage later on, but we're going to take it nice and slow and easy so that everybody understands it. I'm not going to leave anybody behind. So, we'll definitely have fun doing it though. So I'm excited to get that going. We're still working out all the kinks for it, but I'm excited to get it going. It should be fun.
Me too. I think it's going to be really great. And I know most everyone I've talked to really appreciates starting from the beginning. So that way there's not anything that they're left out on. Everyone wants to know how to set up all the way from the beginning and get everything set up from the beginning how they want it. So I appreciate that anyway. And I know we have a lot of people ready. So, Jacob, if you're trying to talk, we can't hear you, honey. So Jacob just jumped on, if you guys can tell, on Derek's, but we can't hear him. He's.
Ah, idiots. Jesus Christ. Is this thing still muted?
Nope, you're on now.
Oh, shit. Hi. Hi, everybody. How are you today? Welcome to Investor Party. And in case you guys have not been paying attention to the news, I live in Florida, and apparently we now have a hurricane. And even though it's just a Category 1, people are dumber than ever. And I blame it on the CO2 going back into their brains from their masks, sitting in lines at Lowe's, which, by the way, is at this moment the lowest common denominator of humanity. But don't ask me how I feel right now, because I don't have an opinion. How's everybody doing today? Emily, you look amazing. Your hair is like on point. Your earrings, seriously, girl? If I were straight, just saying. If I were straight, Nelson wouldn't know what to do with me. He'd be like, what? I think you got a problem, boy. Anyway, so yes, we're actually, something we're going to be doing as we progress in our courses and our challenges is we're going to start doing things called block parties. Block parties are where we're going to actually have kind of a path where you guys start doing stocks and real estate simultaneously. And you're going to be building your teams based on people who are doing challenges in stock and in real estate. And therefore, you're not missing out, but you're also continuing to work on your current businesses. The problem is, and I love what Liam was saying, you don't want to get too distracted. You want to pick something, see some results, and then add to your business. So it's all about building your systems and building your team. So you guys are my team, and I'm so glad that you stuck around this far, which is great. So is Kevin on yet, or is he coming on? What's the story there?
I haven't seen Kevin yet. I did send him the link, so we hope to see him in a few minutes. I told him to be here at 3:30. So that's exciting. I haven't even announced that yet. We have Kevin coming on from REI Black Book to tell us a little bit about what they're doing tomorrow for the follow-up one-day workshop with REI Black Book. So I know most of you probably on the call are already signed up to take it, but if you're not, you're going to get to hear a little bit about why you should sign up, and he can answer all the questions that you guys have. I know you had a few more about exactly what's going to happen tomorrow, what it's going to entail. I did find out that if you purchase the $97 one, then you get unlimited recordings to all of the recordings. So if you can't be there all day tomorrow, then that's an option too. You can do the $97 version and watch the videos later afterwards. You can't be around all day. So he should be on here in just a few more minutes. Jacob, what else did we have to tell everybody today?
Did we have the link in the chat box for them to go and sign up for the thing tomorrow?
For REI Black Book, yes. I'll post that in the chat box, as well as it's on Investor Party in the resources tab. We also just posted it as an event.
Are we live on Facebook right now?
So we are not, because I couldn't get it to go live from mine. So
okay, and then are we okay, so in that case, put it in the chat box. Also, I know Emily was talking about Stock Market Survivor. Does everybody know how to go and sign up for it?
We are signing up on Real Estate Survivor. I mean, Stock Market Survivor.
Stockmarketsurvivor.com.
.com. I'll put that in the
Yeah,
chat
right
box
here.
as well.
Okay, fabulous. Oh my God. I'm about to do manual labor, guys. Why are you laughing? I mean, you should laugh. It's very scary. You see my hands? They're really soft. I like to use a lot of lotion, and I moisturize many times a day. I take like 5 showers. Yeah, just shut up. Don't listen to Derek. He's not a good influence. And so, for those of you who don't know, about a month and a half ago, yes, a month and a half ago, we had a microburst hit our townhouse. Now I'm renting right now, and I'm living with teenagers during a global pandemic, and now there's a hurricane coming. My next stop after this is the liquor store. If you have any doubt, I will take you there with me. But now I've actually given the kids a challenge to take all the stuff from the patio and put it inside, at least the things I like my plants. So therefore I can go in there and start repairing the roof that my landlord has not fixed. So I have to go and buy that today to fix the roof, so hopefully it won't get re-damaged in a hurricane tomorrow. I don't even know why I'm just, oh yeah, Derek hasn't had a hurricane before. Who's never been through a hurricane? Has anybody not been through a hurricane? Leanne? That's okay. You'll be living vicariously through my Instagram feed. You'll be fine. Yeah, but now I apparently have to use a thing called a jigsaw puzzle, where you use it to snap things. Yeah, it's what's it called?
Jigsaw.
Just a jigsaw.
Just jigsaw.
Is that jigsaw puzzle?
Yeah. You make jigsaw puzzle now. That's what they're called.
Make a jigsaw puzzle out of a jigsaw?
Right.
Wait, use a jigsaw. Why do you do that? They don't make that out of like a printing press? That's stupid. That just seems backwards. So yeah, I've got to use a jigsaw. So I'm going to be around power tools. And I don't have protective eyewear, so I'm going to be using my sunglasses. Hopefully that's the same thing.
Blindfold.
Yeah. Oh, don't blindfold me. That's a whole different type of afternoon. But anyway, so here's Derek. I'm driving.
Hi.
Should be fun. Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to see what you guys pull off. And hopefully you make it through the storm.
Yeah.
All right.
We will. We will. We'll hold hands and kumbaya if we got to make it through it.
All right. I'm going to email Kevin and see where he is. Hopefully he'll be right on the call with us. All right. So who else has questions about things right now? How are we doing?
Let's see if there's actually they've cleaned off the patios and trying to find, shall we?
Oh, see, Jacob, I thought he was talking to us. But he well, what else do you guys have questions about or want to talk about today? This is about you guys too, and your opportunity to ask Emily questions and ask us questions about what other stuff we have going on in the community.
Should we do parenting with Jacob for a second?
Are we all caught up?
Oh, we are unmuted.
You're not.
Muted.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah.
I didn't say unmuted.
You're ready.
Okay. Well, I was saying if you wanted to, we do
Action.
parenting with Jacob, and you can see what happens when I walk in, and they're still laying on the couch watching Kissing Booth covered up in blankets, and they were given chores to do and other tasks before a disaster. You guys want to watch what happens when I turn off the Wi-Fi?
Sherlock Holmes, raw and unconnected.
No, somebody they don't want to watch this. They need to actually like do something productive. Then we
Yeah, they
talked.
really should.
She already talked about Apple, didn't she?
Yeah,
Oh, well, in that case, I don't know what else.
Bye,
to
bye,
talk,
bye.
talk about IBM. Are they doing something interesting? I don't know.
Well, let's see what's going on with the foundation, and then if Kevin hasn't joined us in just a minute, then we'll go ahead and end a little bit early today if Kevin doesn't jump on here in just a couple more minutes. For those of you who haven't seen, this is the house. I'm sure he's shown a few of you on.
Really messy right now. Like we're preparing for. Okay, hi. Yeah, this is our home. They're on the couch.
Sleeping?
Today? I asked you in the car and you said you were doing this yesterday tomorrow.
No, you didn't, because I didn't say
Yes, I
anything about getting the roof done. And when I left here, not even 20
You
minutes
said
ago,
that
I
you were
asked
going
you
to
guys.
get ready for the hurricane.
No.
All right, so I guess this is our foundation today. Today is sleeping and then manual labor. So this is what they learn. This is what these kids are learning. You know, they were homeless and now they have a home that they have to repair. So this is good news.
Earlier when I left, I asked, and I said, please. You didn't do it. There's
All right,
no
I'm going
reason.
to mute them so we can be done with you guys. All right, well, if everybody, I've given Kevin a few, so I'm not sure where he is. He was going to join us. So if anyone has any particular questions about the event tomorrow for REI Black Book or REI Black Book in general, I did put the link to the challenge page in the chat box. So you can go straight there. You can also look on our website at investorparty.com. I posted it as an event there and in our resources tab too. So if you have any trouble, you can reach out to me or Aria Black Book directly, but I'm happy to answer questions too. And I'm happy to see all your lovely faces on Friday. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. All right, well, if no one else has any more questions, then I guess we're gonna go ahead and sign off. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a great
Have a
weekend.
great weekend.